This place is an utter joke. 2017 to now, my life has changed dramatically, you know what I mean? Because of that mindset, you know what I mean? The things with HMOs, you need to be really imaginative. You need to utilize the space. This is what happens when you try to do a HMO with no knowledge. Right, we're back, another day in the life, Courtney Richards, and we're back at 47 WL. And things have changed since you guys were last here, and this is the transformation. Before I get into the numbers, let me just tell you guys a few of the problems we've had with this project. Number one, we took this project on in December, and everyone knows what happens in December. We have Christmas. So we had this project as well as 8 other projects. 2 of the projects were in Cornwall, and we've had about 7 projects in the East Midlands that we were carrying out. All of them are HMOs. And yeah, so we've had quite a lot of work going on in the last couple months. We had an issue with getting the water connected in the property, so we had issues there. And then we had a build team that wasn't doing the job to the greatest standard. So we had to get rid of them and get somebody else in. And because we had a first fix plumber do the first fix, and then we had to have a different plumber to come to do the second fix, there was issues. Because, you know, anyone that knows about the renovation game, you know, if you get a plumber coming in to do a second fix, you know, most of them will turn you down, and if they come and do it, there's gonna be problems. But we've got there, we're at the finishing line now. FRA is gonna be carried out next week, and this property will be ready for the end of the month to be let to tenants. You guys have seen the walkthrough. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think we've done well. We've had 60K for this property to do the refurb. You know, I know you guys normally hear it's 100K plus to do a 5-bedroom HMO all en suite. No, you can do it on a budget and make it look high end, and that's what we've done here. I think we've achieved it. We've made it look high end for 60K. The purchase price for this property was 148K. The refurb was 60K. Your end value is 250K plus. So I think we've done well with the budget that we've had. Obviously, you guys let me know in the comments if you feel you could do better. Let me know. I do like to see what other people are doing out there. And we're gonna go off to property number 2. Right, so you guys have just seen 47 WL, 5-bedroom HMO, all en suite. And yeah, I think I've done a good job. But now we're outside the next one that we're gonna be doing, which is 2 doors down. And this is 43 WL, that's what we call this one. And I purchased this one for 130K, which is 20K less than that one. And we're gonna spend around 40K on the refurb, maybe a bit more. Obviously, I'm gonna be carrying out most of the work so I can keep it down. I'll be documenting this one, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to see more. Right, so we're outside property number 3, which is a 7-bed HMO. This was a 3-bedroom property, but we're now turning it into a 7-bedroom HMO, all en suite. Nothing much has happened since we was last here, but I'm just doing a quick checkup just to make sure everything's okay. We should begin works in the next 2 weeks or so. We're going through drawings, etc., just to make sure we're ticking off all the boxes before we begin works. It was a 3-bedroom property. We are now turning it into a 7. We have got planning for an 8, but I've told the client, look, you haven't got the budget there for it, so it doesn't make sense. The client has got around 95K to spend on this property, which is, you know, a strenuous budget. It's a bit tight, I would say, because of the amount of work that we need to do. We've got to do soundproofing, you know, we've got to do drainage, rewire, you know, plumbing. We've got to do so much to this property for that. It's not a small amount of money, but for the budget. And a lot of clients, they think, oh, I'm spending £100,000, so I should be able to do this, that, and the other. I should have tiles, and you know, they want it looking like the Instagram house. But in theory, that can't happen. You know, materials cost a certain amount of money, labor costs a certain amount of money, and plus, if you've got a contractor, he needs to pay himself. So there we go. So the key take to this is always run your numbers, always do your due diligence, check with your build teams and other build teams before taking on projects like this. Right, so we're outside a 4-bedroom HMO. It was initially going to be turned into a 5-bedroom HMO. It was a 2-bedroom property, but now we've flipped it to a 4. It's been let to a social housing provider for 5 years. So yeah, come and take a look around. So the reason why I told him not to go for a 5-bed is because it's going to cost him an additional £30,000, and there's a ceiling limit in this area. If he would have spent the extra £30,000, he would have went over the ceiling limit. So if he would have went to refinance, he wouldn't have been able to pull out anything. So I've just spoke to my friend and I've just said to him, look, here we need to have a vision panel fire door, because this is the stairs that lead to the kitchen/diner. If there was a fire, the tenants wouldn't be able to see that there's a fire. That's why we need to go for a vision panel fire door. We'll put that on the screen so you guys can know what that is. So this was all 1 bedroom, but we've advised for them to turn the bedroom into a bedroom/bathroom. So this bathroom will be the bathroom for all the tenants in this property. And this bedroom is more than 8 square meters, so it meets the requirements for this area. This was a bathroom, it's now been turned into a bedroom. The space was only around 6.7 meters square, so we've had to incorporate this area here to give it the full bedroom space. And yeah, I think they've done a good job. The things with HMOs, you need to be really imaginative. You need to utilize the space, and that's what they've done here with this one. This was a bathroom and it's now been turned into a bedroom. Initially, the bathroom space was only 6.5 square meters, but we've incorporated some of the hallway to give it the 8 square meters, which is required in this area. Okay. All right. No. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. But he's just pointed out something that I should just document for you guys. So as you can see here, we've just installed a waste pipe here, and that's gonna run along here, right into the drainage system. But initially, the waste pipe was in this area because that was the bathroom, which has been converted into a bedroom. So that's what he wanted to, for us to say. And I've said it, and now he's ran away, but yeah. That's why when I went to Jamaica, you know what, I went to Jamaica and I lived there for 2 years. Yeah. From 2015 to 2017. And when I came back, I looked at things different. Yeah. I worked certain jobs that I wouldn't work before because I had a certain goal. You know what I mean? Because money is money, innit? 2017 to now, my life has changed dramatically. You know what I mean? Because of that mindset. You know what I mean? So it just shows with the right information, the right contacts, you can, you know, get a HMO like that over the line. Initially, my friend wanted to turn it into a 5-bed. Again, it would have went over that ceiling limit and he wouldn't have been able to, you know, refinance and get some money out. But now he's kept it as a 4-bed, he's minimized his costs. Now he can refinance, pull his money out, go again. And he's also got a bonus because this is let for 5 years to a supported accommodation provider, which will guarantee him cash flow for 5 years. Right, so we're outside property number 5 and it's a 5-bedroom HMO with a WC and a bathroom because that's the requirements. And I've not done any works on this property. All I've done is a bit of consultation because the landlord bought the property from a sourcer and the sourcer advised the landlord to use their build team. And to be honest, it's gone a bit wrong. So the key tip in this one is, if you're gonna use a sourcer, that's all good, all well and good. It's all good to use a sourcer, but if the sourcer's going to recommend a build team, make sure you do your due diligence on the build team. You want to see their previous projects, you want to see their current projects, you want to see what they're doing. This landlord literally just took the source's word for it that the builders were good, and to be honest, they've done a terrible job. That's why I'm here today, to rescue the landlord from this shitty mess that he's in. And yeah, come on, let's just take a look around and have a look. Right, so from the offset, you probably think, yeah, this property looks nice, it looks tidy, but no, you're wrong. So there's no smoke strips on the fire door. The builders thought it would be good to just, you know, supply a fire door and that will be it. But no, on a HMO, you need to have a fire door with door closures, smoke strips. You need to have 2 to 4 mil gaps around the sides and an 8 mil gap at the bottom. This fire door does not have none of this. Right, I don't know if anyone can see yet. I don't even think the videographer can see, but behind him, there's 2 lights. In front of me, there's 3 lights. And there's also some spotlights down there too. There's no heat detector in here. There's not enough counter space for 5 tenants in here. So this is what happens when you try to do a HMO with no knowledge. You know, you ain't got a consultant there trying to guide you through the process. You just feel like, oh, I've watched a few YouTube videos. You know, I've read a few books, I know what I'm doing. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, this is what happens when you use shoddy builders or sources that recommend they're shoddy builders. This is what happens, and you don't want this happening, do you? Right, so we're in bedroom number 1 of this property, and again, we've got these lights. It's like a Christmas tree. It's literally like a Christmas tree. We turn one on, we turn another one on, we turn another on. Again, this is wild. I've never seen nothing like it. Comment below if you feel like the tenants need 4 lights, 4 pendant lights in a bedroom. I personally think it's stupid. I think it's wrong. And yeah, just, you guys let me know what you think. The doors don't even close if you have a look here. So they're meant to self-close. So you're meant to just, and they're meant to self-close. They're not self-closing. You're meant to have thumb turn locks on them. There's no thumb turn locks. So this ain't compliant. This room here, again, we've got 4 lights again. It's a no-no. They've got no window in this room. They thought it was, you know, they thought these doors were sufficient. This is not sufficient. You can't just have a fixed window in a bedroom. It needs to be a window that opens so it can, you know, let in fresh air and all the rest of it. These guys have gone for this and they thought it was acceptable. I've advised that they need to install a window. So back to the drawing board for them. Right, so you've seen all the problems downstairs and it doesn't end there. Up here, we've got windows that are blown. We've got bathrooms that don't meet regulations, toilets that don't meet regulations. So yeah, this place is an utter joke. So that's why I'm here. I've compiled a list. I've sent it over to the landlord. He's sent the list over to his builders. So they should be working through the list in the next couple of weeks. And I should be able to come back and hopefully everything has been done on that list. And if so, we can get this property rented out. We're at the 6th and final property for today. You guys take a look. We're gonna dive into it. As you guys can see, chimney breast has finally been removed. And we have got the studs up in certain rooms. It's just the ground floor rooms that are remaining for studs. So we'll have those studs up on, let's say Tuesday. They'll be all up and ready for us to do the first fix electrics, first fix plumbing, and yeah, crack on with this baby. Right, so in here, chimney breast has been removed. You can see the smile on my face because I'm happy. Finally removed. And we're gonna get the drainage. All plumbing is gonna be, you know, first fix plumbing will be started this week. And then we're gonna create an opening and an opening over here to create a hallway. So that will literally be your fire escape route from the kitchen to the door. So yeah, that's what we're doing this week, I should say. Kitchen has been stripped out, as you guys can see, stripped out. So in here, we'll do first fix electrics, first fix plumbing. We've got an unvented cylinder that we need to install. So that will be installed next to the boiler. So all of that is happening this week, and we'll get this plastered in the next 2 weeks. So I've just explained to you a bit about what we're doing downstairs, but now I'm going to explain to you my role in this build. So my role in this build is I have my own building team, my own building company, and I have been hired by the sourcer and the client to carry out the build and make sure everything goes according to plan. And I think we've done a good job so far. We've had a few issues. The client initially had their own structural engineer and architects doing drawings. They messed up, they didn't do a good job. So again, Superman here had to come in and got a friend of mine to come round. Someone you guys probably know actually, a guy called Tom, to do some measurements, just to make sure everything was on the, the right side of things. And we've managed to get the stills installed, as you can see. We've got our chimney breast removed, and now we're ready to carry out first fix electrics and first fix plumbing, and yeah, get the show on the road. Right, so the structural engineer had requested for us to use these RSJs in this property. I don't want to argue with the structural engineer because they're the professionals, they're meant to know, what's what. So we've just installed that on the structural engineer's request and the client's request. But if it was myself and it was my project that I owned myself, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do it at all. I'll just remove the whole chimney breast, patch up the roof, happy days. So as you can see, we've really utilised this space. In this bedroom, we have a kitchenette, we have an ensuite, and we have a large bedroom space. The reason why we've done that is because the end users are working professionals. So those working professionals are used to having these sort of facilities. They want the ensuite, they want the kitchenette, they want like a self-contained flat. So that's why we've gone through this sort of feel, because we know our end users. Right, so nothing much has changed since the last time you guys saw this, but this week we're getting the waste pipes installed. So there's gonna be a big transformation on this part of the property. So waste pipes will be installed, we'll be bricking up that door and installing a window, and things will start, taking shape in the next week or so. So there you go, 6 properties, 6 hours, day in the life of a property entrepreneur, property developer. And yeah, you've seen 4-bedroom HMOs, 5-bedroom HMOs, 6 beds, 7 beds. I've showed it all. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more. And thanks for watching.